Shalom, dear friends. We continue the series in Likutey Moharan, number 44 and 45. It's a special teaching from Rabbi Nachman. I believe it's quite original, and it speaks about hand clapping during prayer. So we continue. The reason for clapping the hands together during prayer is that there are 28 joints in the hands, which correspond to the 28 letters in the account of creation. Okay, so we're talking about, if you count these, you're going to get to 28 between both hands, 14 and 14. There's also Gematria Yedidya, which is also 28, which means friendship. So when you have friendship and you have two people, this is not from Rabbi Nachman, just telling you another Gematria. You have two people, and they shake hands like they're unified. You have friendship. You have shalom. So let's continue here. So everything, right? So the 28 letters in the first verse of the Torah, in Genesis 1:1. Those letters correspond to the two hands, right? If you count that, those pieces, okay? Now everything that exists was created with these letters. And these letters are called the power koach, which has a numerical value of 28 letters of his deeds, right? And right when you have friendship, you have yedidya, you have koach, you have strength. Adding that word inside here. He informed his people of the power of his deeds by giving them the inheritance of the nations. It says in 111:6. When we clap our hands together, the 28 letters with which the creation took place are aroused, and we thereby possess the power to purify the air of the lands of the nations, to expel their impure air. This is because by clapping our hands, their land comes back under the dominion of the Holy One, blessed be He, and it is in His power to give it to whomever He wishes. The air of the place where a Jew is praying is impurified, and he breathes in the holy air just as if he were in the land of Israel itself. Thus, by clapping the hands during prayer, a person's prayers are then in the air of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Now, I don't know if it's going to say it here, but there's this idea that I believe Rabbi Nachman speaks out about it, that a person can be in Eretz Yisrael, he can be in the land of Israel, but not really be here. Because like people ask, well, do we clap our hands while we're praying in Eretz Yisrael? Why would it be needed to get the air of Eretz Yisrael? You already have the land of Eretz Yisrael. I'm here in Eretz Yisrael. I'm here in Israel. So a person can really be in a place, but their mindset is completely somewhere else, right? Like Baal Shem Tov says, wherever a person places their thoughts, that's where all of them is. So therefore, even while in Eretz Yisrael, it could be good to, while you're praying, to clap the hands, because it's going to bring a person the air of Eretz Yisrael, so to help them with concentration in prayer. Therefore, it is necessary to have a fixed place in which to pray. For even if a person stands to pray in a place where a tzaddik has prayed, a sage has prayed nevertheless, it is still very difficult for him to pray there, since he is not accustomed to the air of the place. This is all the more true when a person prays in a place in which a sinner had prayed. Rabbi Nachman teaches about his barus. Jewish meditation should go out into the forest, should go out into the parks and pray to Hashem. And he says it should go to a place that isn't so crowded during the daytime, right? Because the thoughts of men are in this place, it's still hanging out in the air. Whereas if you go to a very, very secluded place where people don't go, the air there has more pureness. So here it's saying, even if you go and stand in a place while you're praying, the air there could be something different from what you need. So by clapping the hands, you're bringing this holy air around you. Now, on Shabbos, some people say on Shabbos you're not, in halacha, there are opinions you're not allowed to clap on Shabbos. Generally, Hasidim do clap, though. Okay? Those who are more machbid and the Litvushim, if they're going to clap, they'll turn over one hand and do it in a different manner. And while there are many that wouldn't clap at all. But if I'm clapping on Shabbos, I usually try to go like this. So this is a statement. This is an explanation of the statement. They, the men of the great assembly, established the daily prayers over against in the place of the regular daily offerings in the temple. Right? When the temple was destroyed, we needed to still go and bring karbanos and these offerings to God, and the prayers took the place of that. This teaching is that a person must be certain to pray in the air of the land of Israel. In other words, the remedy for the extraneous foreign thoughts that he experiences while praying. Right, this is a remedy, this clapping, which corresponds to the prayers that are against his prayers, is affected by the spiritual qualities of the land of Israel, which is associated with the regular daily offerings, of which it is written, the eyes of Hashem are regularly upon it. Tamid Eine Hashem Elokecha Ba, right? The eyes of Hashem are regularly upon Eretz Yisrael, right? And you want that pureness of air, that air of Eretz Yisrael, okay? That you're praying should have that purity of like the karbonos. That clapping can help with this. This idea is hinted in the verse, by the hand of the prophets I will show likeness, it says in Hosea. By the hand alludes to the clapping, and the prophets alludes to the speech, as where Hashem tells Moshe that Aaron, your brother, will be your prophet, meaning that Aaron would speak in his stead. Admeh, I will show my likeness, can also be vocalized as Admah, land. Thus, the verse may be understood to mean that through hand clapping, the speech or words of the prayers are spoken on holy ground. Additionally, through hand clapping during prayer, killing and destruction are abolished in the world, from the world. As reflected in the verse, I will place peace in your land, and the sword will not pass through your land. It says in Leviticus. Through hand clapping, a person's prayers are in the air of the land of Israel. He dwells in the land, and he has Hashem. It says in Ksubos. Right, a person who lives in Eretz Yisrael, they have Hashem. They have fear of God. Comes from this idea of Eretz Yisrael. Now, if a person is in Chutz La'aretz, or outside the land of Israel, and they want to draw the land, the holiness and the air of the Eretz Yisrael, they can clap their hands while they're praying, and this is going to dispel the impure air around them. Hand clapping during prayer also nullifies idolatrous thoughts and atheistic ideas, which may be called over against faith, since faith is closely identified with prayer, as evidenced by the phrase, his hands were faith, as it says in Shemos, which Onkelos translates as his hands were outstretched in prayer. Thus, the remedy for these thoughts comes about through the regular daily offerings, through the land of Israel, through hand clapping. No explanation of they established the daily offering, daily prayers, over against the regular daily offerings is as follows. The regular daily offerings consisted of sheep, as in the phrase sheep kevasim, for your clothing, it says in Proverbs. Our sages of blessed memory taught that these sheep allude to the secrets kavshei of the Torah, it says in Chagiga. Thus, through prayer, the secrets of the Torah are revealed. Another explanation of they established the daily prayers to take instead of to take place of the daily offerings is as follows. Prayers over against refers to extraneous foreign thoughts that a person experiences as he prays, which are against his prayers. These thoughts are called a flood marvel, as they deluge and confuse me Belin, one's prayers. The remedy for these thoughts is to give charity to the land of Israel, on account of that which a person is included in the air of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Right? So if you have extraneous thoughts, by giving charity, it overcomes this. So therefore a person should give charity, especially during prayer. You see the charity box going around the synagogue, it's very, very good. Before, the rabbis were very machmid before they prayed and after they prayed to give something into the charity. Right? So this is going to also give you the land of Israel. It's going to get rid of those extraneous thoughts. About this, our sages of blessed memory taught the flood did not descend upon the land of Israel, says in Tzvachim. Thus, the way the statement they established the daily prayers over against the regular take place over the regular daily offerings is structured grammatically. It can also be constructed as the daily regular offerings were established. Their rectification is through the land of Israel. And through this, a person's mind, his thought, is refined because the air of Eretz Yisrael makes one wise. It says in Baba Basra 158b. Right? So this is one of the greatness about living in Eretz Yisrael, or receiving the air from Eretz Yisrael, is that it makes a person to have great wisdom and understanding. And this same idea that charity of the land of Israel rectifies prayer also finds expression in the verse, I will see it to remember the external covenant. It says in Bereshis. I will see it suggests the land of Israel, as in the verse, the eyes of Hashem are regularly upon it. As it says in Devarim. This results in an awakening and rectification of the external covenant. And this covenant corresponds to the 18, whose numerical value is represented by the letters of Chai, blessings of the Amida prayer. Right, there are 18 blessings of Amida prayer. Since the tzaddik, the sage, is called the life Chai of the world. And that tzaddik, the sage, is the ultimate embodiment of the covenant. Now, I was at some synagogues, there were even Breslov, and the rabbis had said that they didn't want people to if a person wants to clap, they should do it very quietly, so nobody hears it. Because sometimes you would go into a synagogue, everyone's... But in Meir Sharim, in Rav Michael Dorfman, he wasn't a person, he believed you. Very important that this is a Torah, you should clap your hands. This is the teaching from the Rebbe. So what if it makes some noise? The whole idea is that you should go and bring more koach of Eretz Yisrael into one's prayers. So you did have different thoughts, but I have always decided personally that the best way is to clap quietly. You don't have to, it's not a show for everyone else, but enough that it should be audible. But to say not to go and to do it at all, and you don't even hear it yourself, it kind of defeats the purpose too of the teaching. But also, this isn't supposed to be a whole music show. So that's lemaisa, how I look at this. So hand clapping during prayer. Clapping hands is another teaching on the same aspects. Short. Clapping hands during prayer awakens the wings of the lungs by which speech is produced. Additionally, by clapping the 5 fingers of the right hand against the 5 fingers of the left hand, and the 5 fingers of the left hand against the 5 fingers of the right hand, the concept of mi hu, right, which is something brought in the Zohar, comes into being. Mi has a numerical value of 50, corresponding to the 50 gates of understanding, and to the concept of the 50th Jubilee year. The word Yovel, Jubilee year, also has a numerical value of 50, Yovel, when one additional unit is added to the word itself. Hand clapping generally generates the reality of me, 50. Because 50 times 5, when the 5 fingers of the right hand strike the 5 fingers of the left hand, equals 25. And 2 times 25, the 5 fingers of the left hand are also considered to strike the 5 fingers of the right hand, equals 50. The numerical value of 50 also parallels the 50 times that the exodus from Egypt is mentioned in the Torah, alluding to the fact that it was through the power of the 50th Jubilee year that we went out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt. It says in Zohar 2:46a. Speech was in exile there in Egypt, and as a result of redemption, Hagula, which also has a numerical value of me, 50, the mouth and speech came into existence. As in, who, me, gave man a mouth, the ability to speak. Hashem said this to Moshe when he commanded him to lead the Jews out of Egypt. And the mouth receives the words it speaks from the wings of the lungs. That concludes this teaching. And as you see, it can be very great to clap one's hands. I see there's another lesson as well in the idea of hand clapping. Let's get right into it. So this is Torah number 46. It starts out, Nafshi Mikapi Tamid. My soul is constantly in my hand. It says in Psalms 119. Hand clapping during prayer is an aspect of coupling and positioning one's bed from north to south. It says in Brachos 5b, which corresponds to the two hands. Right, it's taught there that when a person prays properly, he merits a good relationship with his spouse and good livelihood. Okay. So furthermore, through hand clapping during prayer, strict judgment is mitigated. The explanation for this is that the right hand corresponds to the great hand. It says in Shemos. And the left hand corresponds to the mighty hand. Also, it says there, when they strike each other and are joined together, this is the uplifted hand. These three hands represent Hashem's name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei when it is repeated 3 times. For the hand is identified with the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Since when this name is written with each of its letters spelled out, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, it consists of 10 letters. And if you add on another 4 units for the 4 original letters, you get 14. The 14 letters of this name correspond to the 14 joints, right, found in each hand. And through these 3 hands, namely the 3 repetitions of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the 3 Elokims in the name of Hashem associated with strict judgment are mitigated. The name Elokim, repeated 3 times, corresponds to the words that emerge from the throat, Garon. And the word Garon is 3 times the numerical value of the name Elokim. So through hand clapping in prayer, a person is also saved from the forgetfulness, and he receives the good memory. It's a segula for memory, that you should remember your Torah and what things in your life you shouldn't forget. For through hand clapping, a person mitigates strict judgments, which are rooted in the name Elokim, when he strikes his hands together. This whole dynamic is hinted at in the verse, my soul is constantly in my hand. It says in Psalms 119, my soul alludes to prayer, and more generally to speech, as in, my soul went out when he spoke, as it says in Shir HaShirim 5:6. Thus, when my soul is in my hand, when I clap my hands during prayer, then I have not forgotten your Torah. V'sorischa lo shachachti. It says in Tehillim 119, right? The initial letters of V'sorischa lo shachalti produce the acrostic Roshi Tevos Shin Lamed Vav, which is Gematria Shalosh Havayos with Shalosh Elokim, whose numerical equals 3 times the numerical value of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei plus 3 times the numerical value of Elokim. When the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is joined with the name Elokim, this affects the mitigation of the strict judgments inherent in the letter. The concept of Elokim is strict judgment is associated with the constricted consciousness, which is the source of forgetfulness. When strict judgments are mitigated, a person enters expanded consciousness, which brings an enhanced power of memory. A person's speech reveals what is in his mind. Therefore, during prayer, a person can tell if he is in constricted or expanded consciousness just by the way he's praying, if he feels it's flowing properly. So we see it's a great segula to clap your hands to increase your v'sorasko lo shachachti, to not forget the Torah. So hand clapping also serves to annul strife. For all strife emanates from the conflict of Korach, who is identified with darkness, choshech, which is the numerical value of as Korach, like Korach, with the left side initiated against Aaron, who is identified with light, and with the right side. By clapping hands, the left and the right are included in each other, and a unity is created. Thus, this is reflected in Rashi's commentary on the verse, all your nations clap hands. This means band together, it says in Rashi. So, by clapping one's hands during prayer, a person brings themselves the air of Eretz Yisrael, land of Israel. The sweetness of that land and the land of Eretz Yisrael brings a person to become wise. And a person also mitigates harsh judgment. They increase their memory. They get rid of extraneous thoughts during prayer.
And so it's a great item to use to help a person to concentrate more. And that concludes these 3 Torah lessons. Shalom, shalom from Jerusalem. My pleasure to share the Torah with you. All the best.